Okay, now let's get to the fun stuff. In this video, I will show you my process A to Z and we'll create a typographic logo. So I've gathered a bunch of tears. The reason I like these is they're all scripts. They all have a certain thickness to them. Some of them have some dimension, and that's kind of the qualities I want for this typographic logo. And last night I did a few just real little thumbnail sketches, and since these are super imperfect, we don't really need to scan them, so I can just take a photo and email it to myself. I'll take a photo of both of these actually. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. And then I just email those both to myself and bring them into the computer. So typically I work from left to right and I just make new artboards as I go. And I save everything in my process just in case I want to go back. So I will just drag a new artboard over and get rid of these things. And now I can just drag in those thumbnail photos I just took. And I just take down the opacity a little bit so I can type over it. I lock those so now they don't move. Let's zoom back in here. And one trick I have for doing really fast work is you start with a thumbnail and then bring that into the computer and then type over with an existing typeface that you just have in your computer. The reason I like to do that is if you're using a pretty good typeface, it'll help you keep your proportions, your letter spacing, like your kerning, and also the thickness of your letters. It'll help just kind of give you a structure. I'll manipulate that type to fit my thumbnails here. And then what I'll do is I'll go back in and sketch over that and create new letter forms. But I'm just using that type as a base. So the type that I'm going to use is called Gelato Script. A little too bubbly for what I want, but that's okay for now. I'll just roughly size it. I may squish it just a little bit, and that's okay. Typically you don't want to just squash type, but in this case we are drawing over it, so any kind of weirdness we can fix that with just some hand drawing. Let me go ahead and create outlines, and that just takes our type to a path. And I'll just use a shear tool, give it a little shear. I've got a bit of arc to this type that I've sketched out, so let's try to match that a little bit in the computer. That's way too much. I'll just do it at like 3%, and then don't forget to expand appearance. I don't like how that T is leaning quite so forward. And then you can go in here and just start moving things around. I still haven't decided which one I want to use yet, so let's just take all that we've done, drag a copy down, and it looks like my letters are a lot more bunched up on this bottom one. Again, that T just seems a little leaning back. Kind of tweak it. I'm also thinking there might be a way to interlock the two capital letters. Right now it looks terrible, but we can go in and figure out a way to get those to play with each other. Okay, so I'm actually starting to like the bottom one now. I'm using my shear tool a lot. That just kind of italicizes or de-italicizes your letters. Yeah, that's starting to look pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that bottom one so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the top one just in case I ever need to go back to it. Make this the main one. Now what I want to do is just print that out on my inkjet printer.